Hey folks, it's Barry Reynolds here, and this is a Gateway Gamer Runs Through. Now today we'll be playing AEG's Dark Seas. It's for 2 to 4 players, it runs about 45 minutes long, and it's recommended for ages 4 and up. I will be joined by Jiminy Cricket. I do apologize for that, didn't walls in here. But in Dark Seas, players are taking on the roles of pirates who are wandering the seven seas, trying to collect as much gold as they possibly can by the end of the game. And this is done through various tile effects, recruiting pirates, having dreadful pirates, collecting treasure, and of course, like I said, doubloons. So, here we go with Dark Seas. Okay, folks, here we go with Dark Seas, where players will take on the roles of captains trying to stake their claim to be the greatest pirate there ever was. Okay, now to set up Dark Seas, first thing we're going to do is place the board out. Then need to reach everybody. Then we're going to place our regular and dreaded pirates here underneath the board where it says Pirates. Okay, these are our doubloons. They come in a value of 3 and 1, and we will place these underneath the board here where it says doubloons. There are 8 types of treasure tokens, 4 of each different type, and we will flip these face down and place them here underneath the board where it says treasure. These here are plunder tokens. Okay, they're double-sided, and there's various different types. There's 66 total, and each type ranges from 2 to 4 of each tile. Okay, we're going to flip these over, give them a shuffle, and place them in 2 separate piles on either side of the board where it says plunder tiles. We'll take the round marker and place it on 1 in the round track here. Next we're going to take the 5 dice, and we're going to take 1 and put it off to the side near the board, and the rest we're just going to set aside momentarily. We'll give them to the first player in a few minutes. Next, each player will take a captain token, a ship token, a score token, and the central island of their color that they wish to be, along with the 6 port tiles, and also the barkeep and dive bar tiles. Now all these tiles have starting tile on the back of them. Players will also take 3 doubloons from the supply. Players will now set their center island tile in front of them, and then place their port tiles around this central island tile in any order they wish to, or they could follow the diagram in the instruction manual. It's up to you. Only rule with placing these port tiles around the central isle tile is that this yellow bar on the top of each tile must face in towards the center tile. Next, players will place their barkeep starting tile at the 2 o'clock position and the dive bar tile at the 6 o'clock position. Okay, next each player will take 4 plunder tiles from either pile across the board. Okay, out of these 4, they will choose 2 to keep in their hand, keeping the secret from the other players. Choose 1 to place on their board, okay, and they will place this in the 10 o'clock position. The final tile they will discard face up in a discard pile. Now the first game you really won't know what to choose with these tiles, but once you get 1 game under your belt, you'll understand what they are, and it'll help you out choosing which tile to place later on. Next, each player will place their captain token on the central island. They will place their ship token on the port tile at the 6 o'clock position, not one of the plunder tiles that you place on the port tile. Then each player will take their scoring token and place it on the 0. Next, you will choose a first player. Now the book suggests the last person to go to RBs should be the first player. You could do this however you want. Roll a die, draw straws, whatever your mode of randomization is. You will give that first player the activation token along with the 4 dice. And you are ready to play Dark Seas. In Dark Seas, you and other players are going to take the role of infamous pirates to sail and plunder islands, looking to acquire deadly crew, power, glory, and all the gold you can eat. Of course, this being a game, all of the above is accomplished without any of the messy actual killing someone or being sunk in a shark-infested water stuff. Okay, now the object of Dark Seas is to acquire the most points, or infamy points, at the end of the game. Okay, now there's several ways this is done. They are done through different tile effects during the game. Having a certain amount of doubloons at the end of the game will gain you points. Having sets of treasures will give you points at the end of the game. Having a port with one pirate on it will get you points at the end of the game. Having 4 pirates on a port will get you points. Having a dreadful pirate will get you points. And having certain tiles on your board, such as the pirate den here, will get you points at the end of the game. The game plays with 2 to 4 players, and it will last 12 rounds, no matter what the player count is. Now, I'm showing the game played with the Errata rules. Under the original rules, each player would take each phase of the game one at a time. Okay, so the green player here will go through all 4 of the main phases of the game, and then the next player would take all 4 of their phases, and it would continue until it got back to the active player. Okay, now with the Errata rules, the 4 main phases, which I'll get into in a second, is everybody will do each phase simultaneously, and they cannot move on to the next phase until everybody's done the phase that they currently are working on. The first phase, which only the active player does, is they will take these 4 dice and give them a roll. The very first phase is only for the active player. They will roll these 4 dice. Now, all of the other players will work off of the 4 dice that were rolled by the active player. Okay, these do not change until the next round. If players don't like the roll they have, they could take some or all of the dice and give those a reroll. Okay, only 1 reroll though. Now, the reason you want to do this is to move your ship along, which I'll get into a little bit later on, or to prohibit other players from doing certain things, or to help you out with the scheming phase. Okay, and that is the first phase that every player will take. Alright, so now we get into the scheming phase. Okay, now if we look at some of the plunder tiles, we'll see that there is some text underneath the picture for the tile, and then below that there's some symbols. Now, during the scheming phase, you're only going to worry about the symbols on the bottom of the tiles. Okay? If you have a tile, like the barkeep here, that does not have one of these symbols, you cannot use it during the scheming phase. Alright, so what a player can do, and they can choose not to do this if they don't want to, is they can take one of these tiles with the symbols that match the die phase and use it to gain an ability. Okay? So the symbol on the left is going to be a symbol that corresponds with one of the faces of the die. The symbol on the right will correspond with one of these 3 supply areas here. Now the dice has 6 symbols on it. Okay, we have like a rum bottle, a parrot, a hook, skull and crossbones, the wheel, and finally the gun. Okay, now here I have a pirate symbol on the tile. Okay, so say I wanted to use this tile. I have 3 pirate symbols on the dice that I rolled. So I could collect the benefit for this for each symbol that is rolled. So here I'll be able to collect 1 doubloon for each skull and crossbone symbol that I rolled. Alright, so I have 3 skull and crossbone symbols. I could collect 3 doubloon from the bank, put it in my play area there. Now, as you can see, the pirate base and the looters both have the skull and crossbone symbols. Even though I have 2 different tiles in my hand with the same symbol, I can only choose to use one of these 2 tiles. Alright, but say I didn't use the pirate base. Instead, I decided to use the looters here. What that'll do is allow me to collect 1 treasure for each symbol rolled. So I have 3 symbols rolled. I would take 3 treasures. Okay, I can look at these. Again, at the end of the game, these are worth points. Okay, and then place them in my play area face down. Keep them secret from everybody else. Now say instead I rolled 3 wheels, 3 of these wheels here. Alright, then I could use the dive bar. Okay, now this says for every wheel symbol I get, I can collect 1 pirate and place it anywhere in ports on my board. Alright, so there's 3 wheels, got 3 pirates. Okay, you can only have up to 4 pirates on each port. Alright, but when you are getting pirates, whether it be through die rolls or later on you'll see some tiles will allow you to recruit pirates, you can pay 1 doubloon and upgrade a regular pirate into a dreadful pirate. Okay, and you can do this as many times as you have money to do it. Okay, and these guys should actually went back in the supply. You know how it goes with me. Alright, then you would take your pirate and you could place it on any port that has fewer than 4 pirates. Okay, you can place 2 on one tile and 1 on another. You can place all 3 on one spot. It's up to you. Okay, now once you have decided which tiles to use, collect the benefit for the tile, and again, any text on that tile is not used during the scheming phase, you would take that tile and discard it face up. Alright, and as usual, these tiles are kept secret from everybody else. Okay, now while you're doing this, everybody else on the table is doing the same thing. Okay, this is one of the 4 main phases. I consider the rolling the dice and the last phase minor phases. Once the scheme phase is over, we move on to moving the captain phase. Okay, now players can move the captain on any port adjacent to where the captain was that turn. Okay, so if I were in the central island, I can move my captain from there to this port here, the purple port. Okay, or from the central island, I could go to any of the 6 ports. Alright, alternatively, I could stay on the central port. I do not have to move. And then I would be able to collect either 1 doubloon, or I could draw 2 plunder tiles from one of the stacks, keep 1, discard the other, face up. Okay, and put that in my hand. Okay, now say I didn't do that. Say I moved them to a port tile. This will allow me to move my ship on or through that tile during the next phase, which we'll get into in a second. Okay, now if you are on one of the port tiles, you can move the captain from one port to another port. Okay, you cannot, however, move them from a port tile to the plunder tiles. Okay, so say I'm going to put the captain here so I can move my ship onto this tile in the next phase. And I'll explain that in a minute. And again, the other players will do the same thing. So let's say the yellow player goes to the blue port. Okay, now we get into the move your ship phase. To move your ship, you're going to look at the dice that was rolled. And again, only the active player rolls this, and everybody uses this throughout the round. And you're going to see if you can move your ship to an adjacent tile going clockwise. Alright, so here on the black port, I have a skull and crossbones symbol. Okay, and that is indicated in the center on the left side. So I cannot move to that tile because none of these die phase matches that tile. Now, however, I do have my captain there, so he will allow me to move to that port. Alright, now say it's a little further on in the game, okay? And say I didn't roll this. Say instead we rolled the rum bottle and the hook. Alright. Now, the black tile, the black port, has the skull and crossbones symbol. Alright, so I can move to the black tile because I have my captain there, even though none of the die face match it. Alright. Now, as you can see, we have the harbor master there. Okay. So, anytime you move through or land on a port tile, you can collect the benefit of any plunder tiles connected to that tile. Alright, now if we look here on the bottom left corner of the tiles, you'll see this little quarter circle with water in it. The bay area is what it's called. Each port token can have 2 plunder tiles connected to it, as long as those tiles are on the sides that the bay symbol is on. Okay, so the red one here has this Fancy Tavern and Looters tile connected to it, whereas the black tile here only has the Harbor Master. Okay, and it's connected to one side of the bay, as you can see here. Alright, so I want to go from the green port to the black port. Then I want to collect the benefits of the Harbor Master here, because that is adjacent to the black port. Now when you're doing the benefit for a plunder tile, you're only going to do the text area of that tile. You're going to ignore the symbols at the bottom, which is only used for scheming. Alright, so it says I gain 1 doubloon and I gain 1 infamy point. I can move to the red port here because I have the rum bottle. So I can move my ship to the red port, and now that has 2 tiles connected to it, the Fancy Tavern and the Looters. Okay, now the Fancy Tavern will allow me to change any 2 pirates into dreaded pirates for free. Okay, so I have 2 pirates here. I'm going to change each one of those regular pirates in the dreaded pirates. Now normally you'd have to pay a doubloon to do this when you're placing them, but this overrides that rule. Okay, now the second one, the Looters here, will allow me to draw 1 treasure per pirate here. Okay, now that's a keyword, and we'll get into some of them as we go along. Alright, here means the port that your ship is on. Okay, now being that there's no pirates here, I cannot do that action. But if I did have a pirate there, I could draw 1 treasure chest for every pirate there, and then I could keep 1. So if I had 3 pirates on this tile here, on this red port, I could draw 3 treasure chests, choose 1, keep it in my play area, discard the other 2. We're not done yet. We have a hook here on the yellow port. We have a hook symbol, so we can move the boat 1 more space to the yellow port. As you can see, the yellow player doesn't have any of that. All they could do is move to the blue port because their captain is there. Alternatively, you can choose not to move your ship, but if you do that, you cannot collect any benefit from the plunder tiles that it is adjacent to. Okay, and you can never move your ship through the center tile or into the center tile. So I couldn't go from here to here and then down to here. You're always going to move your ship in a clockwise rotation. Okay, now we go into the 4th and final major phase, as I call it, and that is placing a tile. When your ship has stopped their movement, you can place a tile from your hand and place it on one of the adjacent sides of the bay section of the port. Okay, and now you can only place 1 tile per turn. Now alternatively, say you're back here at the red port. Alright, we want to change one of these. Alright, say we want to change this guy here. What we can do then, during the place of the tile phases, we can take that tile, discard it, and then replace it with a new tile. Alright, now it is illegal to place a plunder token outside of the ring of plunder tokens adjacent to the ring of port tokens. Okay, you're only going to have the port tokens and then a ring of plunder tokens. Okay, so that's the 4 major phases, as I call them. Alright, now the next phase, which is the second and latest minor phase, it's actually the last phase of the round, is the active player will pass the active player token to the player on their left. They will then pass the 4 dice to the player to their left and move the round marker to the next round. That's the 6 phases of the game. Okay, now before we get into end game and how to score, there's a couple keywords that you need to know in order to play. Okay, the first keyword is here. Okay, such as the local legend here. It says, if there are no pirates here, gain 1 infamy, otherwise gain 2 infamy. Okay, so here always refers to the port that the tile is adjacent to. Now the next keyword here is roll. I'm going to use the Dread Captain here as a reference. It says roll. All other players remove 1 pirate from the matching port hex. Okay, now anytime it says roll, we're going to take this 5th die that we set aside during setup. We're going to give that a roll. Now all other players will look at their ports and see if they have any pirates on the port with the matching symbol. In this case, it's gun. Alright, so that would be the blue port for the yellow player. She doesn't have any pirates there. She doesn't have to worry about it. If, however, she did have a pirate there, then she would have to remove that pirate and place it back into the supply. Okay, now the next keyword is matching, and then I actually explained that with the Dread Captain there. Matching is any port that matches the symbol on the die that was rolled. Okay, so again, the gun was rolled. The other player would have to remove 1 pirate from the port with that matching symbol. Okay, now the next one is pay. Alright, up here we have Admiral Crunch. It says pay 2 doubloons to gain 4 infamy points. Alright, so I have to do the first thing, which is pay, in order to get the second thing. In this case, get 4 infamy points. So if I wanted to, and again I don't have to, I could pay 2 doubloons to the bank and gain 4 infamy points. Okay, and they are the keywords that you have to be worried about. Alright, so now the game will go on like this. We'll do the 4 phases going around the board. Each time the active player passes to the next player, we'll move up 1 round. When we get to the 12th round, we'll finish out the round and then the game will end. Now it's time to score. There's several ways you can score. Alright, throughout the game you'll be scoring points due to tile effects. Alright, but at the end of the game, first thing we're going to do is basically the wealth phase of it. Alright, we're going to take our treasure tokens that we gathered throughout the game and flip them face up. If we have 1 treasure token, we would gain 1 point for each treasure token, single treasure token that we have. Okay, so here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 single tokens. I gain 4 points. Yellow player has 3. They would gain 3 points. Now, if I have 2, like I do here, then you would gain 3 points. If I had 3 matching tokens, then I would gain 6 points. And if you had 4, you would gain 10 points. Next, you will gain 1 infamy point for every 3 doubloons you have rounded down. So here I have 3 doubloons, I gain 1 point. Yellow player here has 5, but we got to round it down, so they only get 1 point. Next, each player will gain 1 point for every dreaded pirate that they have on their tiles. Okay, so here I have 4, 5. And yellow player has 5 also. Each player will gain 1 infamy point for every tile that they have that has at least 1 pirate on it. So here I have 3, gain 3 points. Each player will gain an additional point for every port they have that has 4 pirates on it. So here I have 1, get 1 additional point. Okay, and finally, players will get points for specific tiles that say end of the game. Okay, so here we have the pirate base. Okay, it says you must have 3 pirates here to place this tile. Okay, so I had 3 pirates. I was able to place the tile down. Now, it says at game end, gain 5 infamy points. Okay, so I would gain 5 infamy points. And that's it. Whoever has the most infamy points at the end of the game wins. Okay, now before I let you guys go, I want to touch on a couple more things in the errata, okay, which is the rules I taught in this video. Now, the first thing is, like I said in the beginning, the phases are done simultaneously, other than the active player rolling the dice and then passing the active player token and dice to the next player. Everything else is done together, okay, as opposed to the original rules which said first player, the active player would do all one phase, and then the next player would do that phase, and then the next player would do that phase one at a time, okay? And then the active player would do the second phase, and on and on and on, okay? Okay, next is, in the errata, they suggest doing team play for 4 players. Okay, and what this means is each player on a team will sit across from each other, so the active player never goes to, the same team turn after turn. Okay, it says any dice that affect other players also affects the teammates. Okay, so like I said here with the Dread Captain, it says roll all other players, remove 1 pirate from the matching port hex. Okay, so that would affect your teammate if you use that ability. Now, teammates can also discuss, their strategies with each other, whether it be the rerolls of the dice or such things. Suggest you do this in a pirate voice if you choose to. Now, the final thing on the team play is the players in the teams will add up their score together, and then whichever team has the highest score will win the game. Okay, next on the errata list is the dice. Okay, now, during the initial print run, the dice were wrong. The colors matched all the tiles, it's just the symbols did not. I bought this at Origins from the AG booth, and they gave me dice right there. Alright, now if you have a game with the set of dice with the wrong symbols on it, simply, get a hold of AEG, and they will replace them for you. The wrong symbols on the dice doesn't affect gameplay unless you're colorblind. And AEG wants to respect people who are colorblind and get them the right symbols for the dice. Okay, now the final thing on the errata is the scout tokens. There's 2 of these. There's one with the red rum bottle symbol on it, and then the purple one with the parrot symbol on it. What's printed on them is advance your ship to the next port hex. Ignore all plunder tiles there. Now what it should say is advance your ship 1 port hex, ignore all plunder tiles. You may place up to 2 plunder tiles on that port, and then you would end your turn. Okay, now I did a paste up of this. Okay, I did it in a number 6-point font, and the dimensions were something like 3/8 by 1 1/4-ish. That you could fit it on the tile pretty well. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's close. Alright, and then I got some white glue and glued the piece of paper on it. You could even use that self-adhesive paper. I just chose to use regular paper and glue it on. Okay, and that's it. That's all you need to know to play Dead Seas. Thanks for watching. Please stick with us. You can watch the gameplay video. Get gaming, have fun, and we'll see you next time.